So a mom in Texas complained about the way that a textbook was written and actually got the publishers to change it. Now you're seeing here a picture of Roni Dean-Burren and her son, Coby Burren. And while in class, Coby sent Dean-Burren a picture of an excerpt from his history book. He's in 9th grade. And now the text showed the book calling slaves workers. Now the textbook reads, "The Atlantic slave trade between the 1500s and 1800s brought millions of workers from Africa to the southern United States to work on agricultural plantations." Now, the book referred to slaves as workers and immigrants throughout the text. Coby texted his mom, "We was real hard workers, wasn't we?" And then she then posted this to Facebook saying that the Atlantic slave trade brought millions of workers. Notice the nuanced language there. Workers implies wages, yes. Now, she talks about how her son sent this to her and that he was in 9th grade, and asking that the publishers then change it. Now, the publishing house, McGraw Hill, has released a statement saying, "We believe we can do better. To communicate these facts more clearly, we will update this caption to describe the arrival of African slaves in the U.S. as a forced migration and emphasize that their work was done as slave labor." And so the edits will appear in the online version of the textbook immediately, and they will also be included in the book's next printing. So this is a pretty powerful case of human action and what it can do to sort of change something that is totally wrong, in my opinion. But we'll get to my opinion soon. First, I want to hear from you guys. Ron, make your point.
So this is supposed to be like an uplifting thing, and in many ways it is, right? The people have truth to power and stuff. But part of me was really annoyed by this whole thing. Because first of all, this mistake should have never happened.
Correct.
This should have been nipped in the bud right away. Second of all, like they said they're going to change it in the next edition. There's one industry in publishing that's still making a lot of money. It's the textbook industry. They update these editions and they require the students to have it, and they make a lot of money out of this. So McGraw Hill financially is kind of going to win out here. I think it would have been cooler if they came out with a new edition and they provided it for free for any school that wanted it, but that's not what's going to happen.
That's a really, really great point. I want to hear your point, Inessa.
Well, I think it's awesome that this mom did this, and I think it's awesome that her son made this observation and talked about it with his mom. That's already super amazing. But I was born in a communist country, so I am no stranger to the government sort of rewriting history. And I actually do think that, when speaking to your point, that this isn't a mistake that shouldn't have happened. I think there are a lot of mistakes in our history books that shouldn't have happened. I think if we went through, it's all based on somebody else's perspective. So I think it's always important to be objective and to think about things on your own and not necessarily believe everything that you read anyway.
Yeah, I think that's a really great point that you made, sort of about rewriting history. I mean, that's what these textbooks are doing, and there's a lot of situations in America and in other countries where it's almost propaganda, where they try to change their mistakes and they try to kind of downplay some of the things that they've done. And guess what? The slave trade was a horrendous and awful thing. They should have an entire textbook kind of detailing that so that we know what happened and that we don't repeat our mistakes. That's my opinion, but I want to hear a time that you guys stood up to a teacher. Inessa.
Oh man, it's crazy what I guess teachers used to be able to get away with. But I had this teacher, I think it was a French teacher or something. No, maybe it wasn't French, but it was, he was going through a divorce, and he used to do this weird thing on his lunch breaks where he would he had some weird kind of rowy exercise equipment in the classroom, and I feel like maybe he was living at the school. But one time I came in, and he was in his underwear, and his pants were on his desk. His hair was a mess, and I feel like he had rum in his coffee cup. So I just was like, "Put on your pants, please." It was insane. I don't think he ever got fired or anything. What a nightmare.
Ron, did you ever have to tell somebody to put on their pants? If not, you tell me that you had to stood up to a teacher.
Mine's not as exciting in comparison. I'm a southpaw. I'm left-handed. And in the 4th grade, this teacher required us to use erasable pen, which is something left-handed people can't do. You know, you write left, so it's like you wear half of it. And I remember this teacher, for whatever reason, didn't understand that. And one time she showed my written work to another student's written work, a right-handed student, and she was just like, "Look at this is unacceptable." And I was like, wow, I felt terrible. I told my mom about it, and my mom, had an intellectual understanding that was more advanced than a 10-year-old, and my teachers, who I guess was on the same length as a 10-year-old, explained to me why the writing thing didn't work out for me because I was left-handed. So I refused to use erasable pen. After that, I used permanent pen, and when the teacher confronted me about it, I explained to her what I guess she should have already known. But
And she
yeah.
made the adjustment? She was
Oh
like,
yeah,
"All
I
right."
never had to use erasable pen again.
Oh, okay. So I am Jewish, and I had to go to Hebrew school when I was younger, and I remember so distinctly being in a Hebrew class where they were talking about how the Jews are the chosen people, which is kind of like a known thing that Jews talk about. And I remember just like being so mind-boggled as a young girl, and I was like, wait, why do we get to say we're the chosen people? You know, maybe the Christians think they're the chosen people. Maybe the Muslims think they're the chosen people. Well, who gets to say that we're the chosen people? It was like such a thing. And the teacher got angry and I got pulled aside. And I said, like, dude, like, we're not the chosen people. Who gets to say that? Everybody's going to think that they're right and other people are wrong. Why don't we just say, like, we're all chosen? We're all here on earth.
Oh, I love that. We're all chosen. We're all chosen to be here. Beautiful.
Exactly. That was my story, but I want to hear from you guys about a time that you stood up to a teacher. Let me know in the comments down below, and we'll see you guys soon.